streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, tri-state area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
From NJ to BK and the world, this is The Box Out here on the Just Who Talk YouTube channel. My name is Kahlil Thomas. Joining me in just a few moments will be Jason Cordner from Brooklyn, New York. And we're going to start the show with, we're about almost 20 games into the NBA regular season now. And there's a lot of storylines in the NBA right now. But I think the biggest storyline that might be flying under the radar is the Brooklyn Nets. All right. So right now, the Brooklyn Nets, they're 12-5. All right. So let's think about that for a second. 12-5. Good record. Right. Tops in the East, I believe. I think Washington might be a little above them. So at least they're top 2, top 3 in the Eastern Conference right now. Here's the issue with the Brooklyn Nets. And they've won their last 2 games. They beat Orlando and they beat Cleveland at Barclays. So they beat Orlando, who was rebuilding, barely beat them. That was without Kevin Durant Friday night. And they beat Cleveland, who up-and-coming team. They're playing well above expectations, but they're still a young team too. You have some veterans sprinkled in, but Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Evan Mobley, who's now out. That's who they're looking at. They're not looking at Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio. They're looking at those guys. So they're beating the teams that they should beat is Brooklyn. The question becomes, okay, they're beating the teams they should beat. Are they beating the teams that maybe it could be more competition? And the answer to that question is hell no. They're not winning those games. So of those 5 losses, I'm going to go over this real fast. I have it in front of me right now. Opening night, they lost to Milwaukee by 23 points. Okay? So that's 1. Charlotte, they lost to Charlotte by 16 points. That was in late October. They lost to Miami by 13 points. That was October 27th. They lost to the Bulls in Chicago, and that was by 23 points. And just this past Tuesday, they lost to the Golden State Warriors by 18 points. So if you look at the Nets in totality, they're beating who they should beat, but they're losing to who I won't say shouldn't beat, but teams that are on a kind of upper echelon, teams that will give them that work, they're losing to. And I think the Golden State game last Tuesday kind of made people really start to think like, wait, can they win? Because their wins, Philadelphia, big win early in the season, Washington, Indiana, Detroit, Atlanta, another Detroit win, Toronto, Orlando, Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Orlando again. So if you look at their wins, Philly was a big win. Indiana, we don't know where Indiana really is. Atlanta, they beat Atlanta going away it wasn't by 9 points. Toronto, we don't know what Toronto really is, so that's a win. Orlando, twice, it's Orlando. New Orleans, it's New Orleans. There's a dumpster fire. So you look at their schedule, their 12 wins. Of those 12 wins, you can say 2 of those came against teams that were like playoff caliber teams in the Eastern Conference. The rest of the wins, not so much. So Stephen A. Smith, and you're gonna hear a lot of Stephen A. tonight, had a rant after the Golden State loss that I think we should hear, and I think kind of encapsulates the thought about the Nets at this point. So here's Stephen A. Smith.
They embarrassed the Nets. They embarrassed the borough of Brooklyn. Swagoo, Molly, just step aside for a second because I got some stuff on my mind, and I just really, really need to say this. And I want to apologize. I want to apologize to ESPN about what I'm about to say because I ain't holding. I want to apologize to the NBA in advance because of what I'm about to say. You know something? First things first. Kevin Durant, I'm sad for you, bro. You all alone. You have no help. And more importantly than anything else, you made the wrong decision by going to Brooklyn. And I'm not talking about this as a Knicks fan. I'm talking about this as New York, because I'm Knicks first, Swagoo, but New York always. Knicks first, New York always. I'm always rooting for New York, and I'll always root for Brooklyn, with the exception of when they go against the Knicks. Kevin Durant made the wrong decision by going to the New York Knicks, and he's going to rue the day that he did that. And let's analyze why that is. Because you got a guy in James Harden, not first year, this is the second year in a row. Mad love for James Harden. You got to get your act together, bro. You ain't James Harden right now, averaging 19 points a game. You sitting there struggling from the field. You had 24 points last night. This is the most meaningless 24 points that I've ever seen from the career of James Harden. You are a superstar, and you are not looking like one. It is that simple. You got to get it together. KD, you made the wrong decision, bro. And here's why. Because you trusted Kyrie. Kyrie Irving betrayed you. Flat out betrayed you. Left you hanging. And while you sitting up there getting your ass kicked last night, Steph Curry sitting there shimmying and joking around, laughing on the court. They were cheering for Steph Curry in Brooklyn. From opening tap, they were chanting MVP in the Barclays Center, and it wasn't for the dude averaging 28.9 points a game for the Brooklyn Nets. It was for Steph Curry. And then you juxtapose Steph Curry compared to Kyrie Irving, and what do you have? You got Kyrie Irving, who is a showstopper. Kyrie Irving, who is a superstar talent. He is box office and can't be trusted. I actually hope Kyrie Irving gets cut. I mean, this is a disgrace. To sit up there and watch this team last night look like straight garbage. And every respectable team that you go against, you lost to Chicago by double digits. You got spanked last night by Golden State by double digits. You lost to the Charlotte Hornets by double digits. You got spanked on opening night by double digits against Milwaukee. Every respectable team you go up against waxes y'all behind. And why? Because KD don't have no help. You left there all alone. You ain't got a culture. You don't even have a damn fan base. Brooklyn, stand up. I don't want to hear that nonsense again. Brooklyn, the borough of Brooklyn, should be ashamed of yourself. The only damn thing good about the Barclays Center are the concession workers and the people handling the traffic in and out of the arena, like my boy Tony and Jose and the crew. Those are the only decent things about the Barclays Center. It's just dead. You walk up in there, there's no fan base to gravitate towards, there's no momentum, there's no fervor, there's no passion, nothing. I'm showing more passion in this studio by my damn self than 17,700 plus showed at the Barclays Center for the Brooklyn Nets last.
So that was Stephen A. Smith. And listen, going forward, you knew that when the Nets left New Jersey, where I'm at now, it would be a problem for them to get fans, right? Because New York is the Knick town. I don't care if you're in Manhattan, you're in Brooklyn, you're in Queens, you're in Staten Island. New York is a Knick city. So the Nets coming over, there were going to be issues getting fans to buy in because the Nets are New Jersey's team. But here's the problem, right? You have Golden State coming in, and Pete, listen, Steph was getting cheers that night last week. People were there to see Steph. People weren't there to see Kevin Durant. People weren't there to see James Harden, Blake Griffin, Bruce Brown. They weren't there to see them. People were there to see Steph Curry. The crowd was hyped when Steph made shots. When Steph touched a ball, the crowd was hyped. Durant gets cheers. But is he getting crazy cheers? No. Barclays and it's a great place. Like, I've covered events there. Barclays is a cool place to go cover a game. The borough doesn't feel like they care about the Nets. Brooklyn's not care, and I know when Jason comes on, he'll kind of tell us the real story of it, because I feel like there's probably more to it than what we're saying. But it really does feel like no one really cares about the Nets. Kind of an afterthought. So the question becomes, now what? Right? you have a team that just beats who they should beat, but then doesn't beat anyone else. As Jason come on, Jason Courtner joins me. Jay, that was my fault. I forgot to send you the link.
It's all good. It's all good.
You texted me. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to send the link. So I started the show talking about the Nets. I played a clip from Stephen A going off after they lost to Golden State on Tuesday. Pretty much putting it on. First of all, Kyrie lied to them. Kyrie bamboozled KD, and how they were embarrassed. Golden State embarrassed the Nets in Brooklyn. Now they won the last two. They beat Cleveland. They beat Orlando, teams they should beat. But looking at the schedule, they lost to Milwaukee. They lost to Miami. They lost to Chicago. They lost to Golden State, and they lost to Charlotte. I think those 5 teams are playoff teams.
Right.
Are the Nets good? I think that's the question I want to ask. Are the Nets as good as we think they are?
I think they're good, but they're not as good as they think they are. And I think, they shouldn't feel too embarrassed what happened to the Warriors, because I think the Warriors, as well as the New England Patriots, are on a fuck you, give us our respect revenge tour. So I think the more so the Warriors game showed you where Kyrie's needed. And if I'm the KD, I'm more so cussing Kyrie on the phone after the game. Other than that, there's no qualms. I think the East got better. Like I'm trying to write off Chicago, but apparently I can't write them off. They're a really good team. And again, I think the East got better. So minus Kyrie, the Nets are right there with the pack of everyone else. I think there's no dominant team in the East right now.
Yeah, I think the East, you look at the West, and I feel like the West, you have the Utahs, you have the Phoenixes, you have those top teams. The East is kind of going to be it's going to be a bloodbath. Because I think
it's a bloodbath.
You have so many good teams, and you have the teams that you're like, well, those are playing teams. They're playing way above. Washington's playing way above expectation.
Yep.
So you see a Washington against the Nets, it's not necessarily going to be a given that the Nets are going to win that game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any given nights, especially from what I'm watching from the Knicks. I don't think there's any given night that easy nights for the East. I think Detroit could give you a game. I think Orlando's been giving the Knicks hell of games. They almost beat the Nets as well on the other night as well. So there's no easy nights in the East anymore.
Yeah, and now KD's out. KD's out on Friday. I'm not sure if he's going to be out on Monday with the shoulder injury. But if KD's out, they didn't look great last night against Orlando. James Harden doesn't look right. Something just seems off.
I think he's scared I think the hamstring is still in the back of his mind.
Do you think he's in shape?
Well, he's not. He's never coming in shape. I think something about the hamstring and getting himself into shape. It's a mental thing for him.
Yeah, I think it's just like you see him play. He doesn't play the same kind of recklessness. He just kind of like plays, and he defers a lot. It's really bad. He defers a whole lot, and it's like, especially last night when he should have dropped 50 on Orlando
easily. Yeah,
but Steve Nash probably like, it's your ball, take it. He didn't want to. It seemed like he was just like, oh no, okay, here you go, and give the ball off. If KD's out for a long period of time, this 12-5 is going to turn into 14-8
real quick.
It can get bad. The other point that Stephen A mentioned was how Brooklyn, the arena for Golden State was hyped, but not for KD. They're hyped for Steph. And how there's no identity still. And I've said it. I'm like, when the Nets moved to Brooklyn, that was the thing. Can they make New York, the city, can they make the city a net city? And I still feel like they have not. Even as
there
good
was
as they
a
are,
window. There was a window to do it, and that window closed real quick. And especially when they got Durant and Kyrie and everybody pretty much piled dirt on the Knicks' name, the Knicks played with the grit and the heart of the city, and just like that, won over the fan base again. And I'm going to the Nets game against the Knicks on the 30th. I can guarantee you that's 90% Knicks fans that's going to be at Barclays. So it's one of those things where, like, and I wanted to ask you this question too. They keep bringing back the New Jersey colors, which were great in the 90s. Do you think they kind of regret coming to Brooklyn just a little bit?
Well, according to Bruce, who's listening, shout out to Bruce, the real Net fans are in New Jersey. So got that going for you.
I think the last Net game that my girl really enjoyed was probably a Prudential. And she asked me years ago, like, why they have Prudential? I was like, well, they didn't want to partner with the Devils. and they felt like they could make a name for themselves in Brooklyn, which is kind of hard to do. The Clippers are having a hard time realizing that as well. And they're going to have that same issue when the Clippers thing is funny because the Clippers are building an arena where the Lakers won majority of their championships.
Yeah.
So it's like something about these little brothers that just think they turn the switch on and people galvanize toward them. But, as you know, Nets tickets are always cheaper than Knicks. Mm-hmm. Other fan bases, especially on Mecca like New York, they're going to go to those games because that at Warriors ticket at the Garden is going to be 3 times the price. So you're always going to have that problem. I've noticed that for the Nets since day one.
Well, it's funny because I know you and we've covered events at Barclays, and especially college. I thought we did a lot of college events at Barclays.
Yep.
And I feel like we had Duke, North Carolina, and ACC tournament at Barclays. That was the loudest I've heard Barclays, whether it be live or whether it be on television, ever. Not their primary tenant. That was a college game. It was Duke, North Carolina, yes, but that was loud. Syracuse, when they play at Barclays, just as loud as a net game. Mm-hmm. I feel like they have an issue. I feel like that's the problem. I feel like they haven't really – they're trying to generate some type of fan base, some type of culture, and like, Brooklyn stand up and Brooklyn trying to – but it ain't working. So to answer your question, yes, I think they do kind of regret it because, the Meadowlands is a piece of shit. They had Prudential, which is a brand new shiny building, still a nice building. They could have stayed there. So I feel like this ain't going to work. The Knicks are always going to be the best team. I also think their window was when they had Karras, when they had Jared Allen, when they had a young team that played hard with Kenny Atkinson as coach.
Yep.
I think that was the point where their fans were like, oh, we got these young guys, we're going to build. And then when they get rid of everybody and just create a super team, which turns everybody off, no matter where you are, I think that was like, okay, we're done with you because you now you're cheating. Because we had this young team that we liked that played hard and played the right way, and just going to go out and get Kyrie and get KD, bring in Harden, trade Karras, trade Jarrett, and now we don't care. So I think that's going to be a problem.
It's kind of funny because I look at the Warriors, and the Warriors kind of like on the fly rebuild their team, and everybody pretty much is praising this team compared to the first championship team. And like I think Draymond said it best. If they win a championship, you're not going to hear the end of it. Because they're gonna have done it without. That's gonna be 2 titles without Durant, and now Durant's legacy takes a little hit on both ends.
It really is. Well, and here I said from the start that they weren't gonna win the title this year. I wasn't feeling it. When Kyrie decided to get vaccinated, I said it again. We're not going to the title. I think seeing them against good teams, and they're not just losing to good teams. They're getting the brakes beat off of them. Yeah. So they're getting the brakes beat off against good teams. That's an issue because they're not just losing by 5 or 6 points. They're losing by 17, 18, 23 points. That's a problem. So I think they haven't really figured out, okay, what can we do to get better? And the rotation is still a mess because you have so many bodies that you have to play. You can't not play LaMarcus Aldridge, even though they did for the first 3 quarters against Golden State. No one knew why. LaMarcus Aldridge sat on the bench until about 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's too much happening. I think it's not conducive to winning a championship right now.
I was in Philly the other day. Not once where they asked me for a vaccination card. So at this point, I'm on board with trading Ben Simmons for Kyrie.
There's so much to unpack with that statement. I don't know. There's so much to go into.
I figured the way this is going, if Kyrie doesn't play mid-January, before the trade deadline, are the Nets inclined to want to possibly move him? And if you move him, do you move him for a playmaker who can't shoot, but you're surrounded with shooters?
I don't think they'll make the trade only because I think Sean Marks, Steve Nash don't want to deal with Ben Simmons and deal with whatever the hell's going on in his head right now. I think that's
I'd rather deal with his mental problem than Kyrie's mental problems, though.
I'd rather deal. I mean, if Ben Simmons comes, at least he's going to play. We know that much. At least he'll play basketball and not sit home and watch everything else transpire. So we're going to unpack that. I kind of want to do some trade generators over Thanksgiving and figure that one out. moving on to the Knicks, and I don't know what the hell to say about the Knicks. I'm lost. I don't know who they are. 9-7. They won last night, so we got that going for us. Take it from here, man. Take it from here. What do you see from the Knicks? I don't even know.
They're trying to find their defensive identity, and I told you about Kemba. Playing him maybe 20 minutes a game. I don't know if he's going to hold out for the whole season. And, I like the second unit, but at some point we got to implement our rookies. I feel like that could be the spark that the whole team needs. And, Tibbs, he doesn't like to play rookies. And it's becoming a problem. It's problematic right now. And to their losses, it's been more so about the teams that they should be beating. So I don't know if they're going to I don't know if they're going to these games like figure they can just turn on the switch and just start playing defense and still jack a bunch of threes. But I'm curious to see how they play against the Bulls tonight.
So once again, like I said in the beginning, Stephen A is going to be featured on our show a lot tonight. Stephen A had a comment after the Knicks lost to Orlando on Wednesday night. Here's Stephen A with the countdown crew, which I want to talk about. I want to talk about ESPN NBA countdown after this too. But here's Stephen A on the Knicks right now.
I'm concerned, and the reason why is because Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett still don't use their right hand. I don't know why. Somebody need to kidnap them and don't allow them to use their left. Do what you got to do to handcuff their left hand so they can learn that you're supposed to use both hands. You got two of them for a reason. Mm-hmm. And then we've got Kemba Walker, who has been a relative disappointment. Mm-hmm. And Fournier, I don't know what the hell has happened to him. He's fallen off. And I'm looking at Tom Thibodeau as well because the offense seems fairly predictable. And we all know what the reputation of Tom Thibodeau is. He's an elite defensive mind. Offensively, he's a bit challenged at times. And when I'm looking at the personnel, they clearly don't have better personnel than Chicago, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Philly, and stuff like that. You got to play defense, and you got to get elevated level of production, and it ain't happening, and I'm not happy about it. Stephen A. It's not good. 98 points. It's not good.
Late in close games, Jalen, it is painful to watch them play offense.
They do a lot of isolation, and here's what's different for Julius Randle. At the end of games last year, he used to kind of play a quasi-5.
Yeah.
Remember, they have Mitchell Robinson back, now Nerlens Noel playing some of those minutes. Obi Toppin's now playing those minutes. So now as a 4, there's another help defender on him.
Good point.
And so that's what hasn't freed Julius Randle up to kind of have the kind of numbers that he had last year.
All right, so it's a disappointing night for the Knicks, an interesting night all around the NBA. Final thought?
Quick. The New York Knicks are devoid of a number 1 option. They're devoid of a number 2 option. They got number 3 options and lower all over their roster. It is a problem I am not happy about.
So that was Stephen A.
He's not happy. He's not happy.
Well, you know what? You look at Randle, and I feel like 19 points a game. He's averaging 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Like he's having a good season. RJ still developed. I don't want to shit on RJ Barrett. I feel like RJ Barrett we haven't seen the best of RJ yet.
Consistently,
you see flashes. You see flashes, and I'm okay with that because his third year. He's only like 20, 22.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at this point they have to make a move. Because there's not enough here. Like we said, defensively was supposed to be that thing. They're not playing defense. Offensively, they were already kind of stagnant to begin with, and we saw it towards the end of last season and in the Atlanta series.
Right.
You really didn't do anything to add to offense. You added Evan Fournier, who started out hot and just fell off the face of the earth in the last 5, 6 games. Kemba looks like a shell of himself. He looks like he's just like crazy old right now, which is just miles on his body.
Right.
I think you have to make a move. I think you have to really examine, like, hey, we have to do something drastic to kind of bring it back. And if that means, hey, call up Portland. We need Dame. Call up Philly. Don't want to do that. Hey, what do you think about Ben Simmons? And have a conversation. Do you think it's time for that, or do you think I'm jumping to conclusions right now?
Oh, it's getting to that time. But I think for the immediate, I would definitely try to play the rookies and see what we can do, what we got.
So I know Miles McBride is Wisconsin, Westchester now. So they sent him down. Quinton Grimes, listen, I mean, he's an older player. He spent a lot of time in college, so he's old, he's mature. Give him some more minutes. They're trying to give Obi more minutes. He's averaged about 15 minutes a game. I think he can do more. I think you could take some of those minutes from Barrett, 35, drop them down to like 30, 32, and give Obi those minutes. Because when Obi's in, and I think Tibbs likes Obi because of the effort.
I think so too.
Because Obi goes hard no matter what. So I think that's going to be interesting to see. Jericho Sims doesn't play a whole lot. You don't really need him to play because you have Noel and then you have Robinson. Mitch Robinson. Rookie, I don't know. Because the only other option is you start Derrick Rose, which kind of takes a chunk out of your bench. So
I wouldn't do it because I don't know what that second unit's going to look like without him. I don't think Quickly can man it by himself.
Well, I mean, you would put Quickly with Kemba and have Quickly at the 2. Which I don't like that either at all.
Yeah, like I think Rose is a safe bet.
Yeah, it's interesting times only because I don't want to make a crazy, drastic panic move for this team.
Okay,
but we're almost to that point where you have to do that and do something big, because with this team, this is an 8 seed team right here. That's it. This is an 8th seed in the East right now. And that 8 seed, you're going to get knocked out the first round in that play-in tournament. You're not going to get any further than that. So Dame might be that guy. I think he got to make the call.
But is he ready to leave Portland?
I say give it a couple more weeks and look more into the investigation. Yes, he will be. Give it till mid-December, and I think he'll be ready. He'll be good to go.
Okay,
maybe.
Well, the Knicks definitely have the assets to pull that off. We'll see.
A lot of assets too. Moving on to the Lakers.
Hot mess.
8-9 record. They're 9th in the Western Conference. LeBron came back against Boston. Boston put it on them. Dennis Schroeder popping hella shit like, oh, they paying Westbrook $44 million?
That was hilarious.
I'm like, wow. So they've lost 3 in a row. They're playing right now against Detroit. Last check, I think they were losing last time I checked. Which, if they're losing now, if they lose this game, I don't know what's going to happen. I think you might see Frank Vogel fired tonight if they lose to Detroit. But Sam Mitchell on NBA TV had some good thoughts about the Lakers, especially after Anthony Davis gave his post game after the Boston game, and pretty much made excuses for the Lakers. But here's what Sam Mitchell had to say about the Lakers on NBA TV the other night.
You know, I'm going to push back with AD, one of the statements he made when he talked about they got a lot of great defenders. Who? Where? Name one. I mean, KCP was there, but he's in Washington. That's the only one I can think of offhand, Smitty. But the foot speed. Look, we talked about this when they put this team together. Somebody said 12 years ago they would have been the best team in basketball. No doubt. But it's 12 years later. And when you watch them play, and you just said it, they can't guard their yard. And what I mean by that, they can't guard their position to keep guys in front. And then when they start switching, it gets even worse, because when you watch the Lakers team, the one thing the Lakers did 2 years ago when they won a championship, they physically beat people up. They were imposing. The Boston Celtics are not a big team. They are small. And to out-rebound the Lakers by 18, they got a lot of problems. Anthony Davis saying his defense, we got to figure a way to score. They're not rebounding the ball. They're not scoring. And they can't guard. So at what point, tell me, all 3 facets of the game, you're bad at right now. How are you going to get better, 1, and 2, Smitty? How are you going to fix those problems? The scoring may can be fixed a little bit, but the rebounding and the defense, I don't understand, especially defense, where's the foot speed going to come from?
So Sam Mitchell on NBA TV. And the Lakers are kind of like the Nets in this case, where they beat, I'm going to go through their wins for a second. They beat Memphis, they beat San Antonio, they beat Cleveland, they beat Houston back-to-back. They beat Charlotte in overtime in a game that they should have lost. Charlotte's youth kind of showed up in that game against them in overtime. Mm-hmm. They beat Miami at home. Another game that Miami should have won, some crazy calls in that game. And they beat San Antonio. So the Miami game was kind of impressive, even though Miami kind of shot themselves in the foot. Charlotte, I think, is a lot better than people think. So you can kind of say that was a good win for them.
Right.
Besides that, they lose to Golden State. They lose to Phoenix. They lose to OKC twice, which is bad losses. They lose to Portland down here. And they lost 3 in a row going to tonight's game. Bulls, Bucks, Celtics, back-to-back.
Yeah.
They're up now. They're winning now. I know they were down at halftime against Detroit. They're up by 1 minute 31 left in the game in the fourth quarter.
Damn. Dog fight with Detroit. Damn.
Yeah, it's Detroit. Like you and I can go, me, you, we can get 3 dudes that we know and keep it competitive with Detroit right now. And the Lakers with LeBron. LeBron is playing tonight. Can't get it done. It's hilarious to watch the Lakers. What do? If you were Rob Pelinka, if you were Frank Vogel, who's probably fighting for his job in this game right now, what would you do to make this team better besides the buyout market? Do you make some cuts? Do you change some rotations? Like, what is it to do with this team right now?
It's going to be the buyout market, or they're going to follow that blueprint that LeBron and the Cavs had at trade deadline and try to get rid of some of these people. Even if it's like, I hate to see Melo go, but maybe you get something from Melo. I don't know what you're going to get from Russ. I don't know what happened to Russell's confidence in his game this season. And then you look at what's going on in Washington. It seems like a lot of their problems are over there. Like, a lot of solutions for them are over there. Wings that can play, that can defend, Kuzma and Pope, they're over there. Bigs that could pretty much get rebounds over there. So it's like, I feel like a lot of the Lakers' problem is self-inflicted, and I would hate to see Frank lose his job, but someone's got to be a scapegoat. So most likely be him.
And it's funny. I think Caruso was there not so long ago, and Caruso got like a video tribute, which I'm like, Alex Caruso got a video tribute? Like,
but he has so much heart and grit. He's exactly what they need right now.
Exactly. They don't have – there's no one on that team. I'm like, yo, they play hard. Every minute they're on the floor, they play hard. Caruso was that guy. I think Kuzma, even though I feel like Kuzma's head was in and out, I still feel like he played hard, even though he sometimes didn't give a shit or did give a shit. You didn't know. I feel like Vogel, if he gets fired, I think it's going to be because he couldn't motivate this team. And you would think the championship kind of gave him a year and a couple more years. But I feel like who they brought in and the team they put together, they were assuming that they could run away with the East. With the West. And they're not. And they're just making it worse, where I'm like, you play the Lakers and you look at Detroit, you think we could beat them. Which you would never think when you look at the roster. It features Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, Rajon Rondo, LeBron, Horton Tucker, Wayne Ellington, who can contribute. You don't think a team like this, a Detroit and Orlando, can go into Staples or Crypto.com arena soon, can beat you. And these teams are like, we keep it up. It's crazy what's going on right now.
The Lakers will make the playoffs, but they're not going to be a top 4 seed once again. So it'll be problematic for them.
Quick update right now. Lakers up by 5, 119-114 against Detroit. That's with 33 seconds left in regulation. The Knicks down by 7 late in the first quarter to Chicago. Phoenix up by 18 on Denver, 47 seconds left in the first quarter. At 8:30, which is about they'll probably tip in a couple minutes. Golden State, Toronto, and earlier today, Clippers defeat the Mavericks 97-91. So that's your schedule for tonight. We'll keep an eye on the Laker game in the last 33 seconds to see if they blow it, because they probably will. In other news, today, actually, Sacramento fires Luke Walton as head coach. Alvin Gentry failing upward as usual, becomes interim head coach of the Kings. I don't really blame Luke Walton for this. They're 6-0. They started okay, and then they lost like 6 in a row. I don't blame
him either.
I think the way the team was set up, they were set up to fail. Okay, I feel like it's kind of the Knicks thing. I feel like the Knicks is kind of set up really oddly. And there's no real rhyme or reason to why they have who they have on the floor or who they signed in free agency. I think the Kings are the same thing. I feel like the Kings are one of those teams that you have Halliburton, you have De'Aaron Fox, but then you also have Harrison Barnes, who's a good vet. Let's work with that. And then kind of build around that. You build around Halliburton, you build around De'Aaron Fox. Harrison Barnes is supposed to be that glue to kind of hold it down. He has rings. But then they didn't do anything to really build around him. They just kind of made weird free agency pickups. They made weird draft picks. And Luke Walton, as you talk about Frank Vogel, he fell on the sword for a team that was shittily put together, not by this GM, but by the previous general manager, Vlade Divac.
Yeah, I'm also surprised they never tried to move Heel. Like, that's an asset a lot of teams wanted.
Well, Healed, who's the other one? Big man, whose name is eluding right now. Who does not want to be there anymore? Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, yep.
Bagley, who doesn't want to be there. You have a big man who can, he can't shoot threes, but he can step out. He can defend out in the perimeter. That's an asset in this league. You can get something back. You're not going to get a first round pick, but you can get some role players, maybe second round draft pick, and just get some draft capital. The way the team, like you have Healed, that's chips in your pocket. Davion Mitchell, I think, is gonna be good, but then you have to figure out, okay, well, who's gonna get more minutes, Halliburton or Mitchell?
Right.
So that draft pick was weird because you kind of got a point guard when you already have kind of 2 point guards, Fox and Halliburton. Tristan Thompson signing made no sense. Alex Len made no sense. Mo Harkless, even though he's in the league, sign him, makes no sense. They've done such a bad job of building around your 2 big guys. What can Luke Walton do with this roster when De'Aaron Fox is the only guy, and Harrison Barnes sometimes, you can kind of depend on?
It's pretty tough. He was in a tough spot. So he made the best of a situation. Do I think he's going to get another coaching job opportunity anytime soon? Probably not. So he's probably going to be on to an assistant somewhere down the line.
I'm trying to think. Was Walton was there the first year LeBron was in LA, right? Or was Vogel hired? I'm trying to think.
Vogel was hired. I think Vogel was hired when LeBron got there.
Oh, so Walton wasn't there. Because I remember
he was gone by that summer.
Because I remember Rondo was there when Walton was there, and him and Rondo didn't get along, and Rondo sat in the seats with the fans. Walton's still kind of a young coach, has experience, so I think he could get one. I just think the Lakers situation, not a Kings situation. The Kings situation, he might get a pass because it's just a piss poorly ran organization.
Right.
But here's my question to you: is Alvin Gentry the answer, especially after New Orleans and he kind of mismanaged Zion and Phoenix didn't really do anything with Phoenix because the head coach? Is Alvin Gentry the guy? Or do they maybe have to look and like, hey, we got to either look to college or look to an assistant coach somewhere else?
Yeah, I think you have to go through the college ranks or another up-and-coming young coach, because I feel like, especially in today's NBA, these young players, they're tuning out these old veteran coaches, especially how it didn't work in New Orleans. Everybody on that roster is probably remembering that, like, oh, yeah, he had Zion, and that went to shit real fast. So I don't think it's going to work out. I just think Sacramento's pretty much going to be coasting until they eventually find a new coach.
And do they make the playoffs? That's the next question.
I mean, the West is tough, man. The West is tough. They'll make the play-in game, I think.
So they'll at least get to 10.
10, yeah.
Okay, they'll at least get to 10. I can see that. All right, so moving on. We get to the WNBA because some big news happened over the last week. They changed the playoff format, which people kind of bitched about a little bit, because the original format was the top 2 seeds got buys all the way straight through to the semifinals. Then you had 2 rounds of one and done games, player out, and then you had best of 3, and then you have a best of 5. Now what they did was, and I want to find exactly what it is, there's no buys. No one gets a buy anymore. Teams will not be reseeded. The first round will be a best of 3. So I want to say this. Hold on a second. Best of 3 first round. Semifinals is going to be best of 5, and then the finals will be best of 5. So there's no more of the top 2 seeds being out, which didn't help Connecticut or Vegas for that matter. So it didn't help them at all.
It didn't help them at all, yeah.
No. So you have best of 3, you got a best of 5, and best of 5. In the case of the Liberty, that's the first thing I thought of when I heard the new format. The Liberty had Phoenix on the ropes.
On the ropes.
Now, if this was a best of 3, I think that series would have went the full 3, which a game 3, do or die. The Liberty, as hard as they played Phoenix, I think could have pulled it out in a best of 3. Is this a good thing? And this is a fair thing, especially for the teams like the first and second teams in the league. Is this fair? and we'll just make it more exciting.
I think it'll make it more exciting and it's fair. And I remember the year the Liberty had Tina Charles, and I thought that was the year they could have won the title, and they got smoked in that one game elimination against the Mystics. So I think it's fair. I think now, and I actually think this is probably because Chicago just won the title. So like, wait a minute, why are we giving these top seeds buys if they're not going to make it to the finals? Let's just have a regular playoff tournament and get more games in, get more excitement in, get more fans to watch. I'm pretty sure it's going to help the TV networks. So it's a win all around.
I mean, and it adds games to the playoffs as well, which adds more TV money because you get more ad revenue because you're going to at least have, let's say, 4 extra games. Actually, no, if you count the semifinals, you have 6-7 extra games at least. You probably have a lot more than that because I think a lot of these series, because we talk about it so much, how balanced the league is. A lot of these WNBA playoff series are going to go the distance. It's going to go 3. It's going to go 5. So I feel like that just adds more money, adds more excitement, adds more eyes, more revenue. If they make more money, then the NBA might actually start giving a shit about them again.
That doesn't mean like the top teams are going to start winning again. Like we're not going to have the Chicago's come out of nowhere and just win the title.
Well, my fear is if you're already set in the playoff spot, are you either more likely to rest people, like, hey, well, we're in 8 no matter what, or, we're set in the 5 and we're going to rest guys for the last 2-3 games of the season? I feel like, and we see it in the NBA a lot, if you're already locked into your playoff position and you're going to sit people down, I feel like that's the option you might have with this. So the regular season might become a little less exciting down the stretch if you're Phoenix and you got an old squad, and you're like, I'm going to rest Taurasi for 3 games because we're already number 5.
Yep. I definitely see that.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Lakers up by 3 with 5 seconds left. I do not have the game on because I do not have League Pass. Gotta wait till January for that one. So I'm not sure if Detroit has the ball or if the Lakers shooting free throws. So we'll keep you updated in the last 5 seconds of that game. College basketball. You saw Seton Hall play their opening game against Fairleigh Dickinson. Yep. And you texted me and said it's gonna be a long season. I'm like, yeah, it is, because I'm watching it now, and it didn't look good. They play FDU, they play Yale the first 2 games. They go to Michigan, 5th-ranked Wolverine team. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna bother. It's gonna be a bloodbath. And damn it, they beat Michigan 69-67. Miles Kahlil had a terrible shooting game. Awful shooting game. Trey Jackson brought it. Bryce Atkin, who was a transfer last year from Harvard, he scored 13 points off the bench. Listen, I think we were sleeping on Seton Hall. Maybe they're better than we thought. Your thoughts on okay, actually, before I get your thoughts, are they good? Yes or no? That's the question of the night. Are they good?
I don't want to say they're good. You know what? I don't want to say they're good. I don't want to say they're bad yet. It's a 3-game sample. I personally, when I saw it, I was like, this doesn't look like it's going to be good. And it took some time to start against Fairleigh Dickinson. I will give them the benefit of the doubt. They got some young talent. Those guys from Brooklyn can ball a little bit. I will wait and see before I pass judgment. I was thoroughly shocked that they beat Michigan. Shocked.
I was shocked because the guys that I talked about, I wrote an article for them for Jersey Sporting News. And I said, Kahl's going to be there. Jarrett Roden, who missed the first 2 games, he's got to be there. And without those 2 guys, they can't win games. Like, they need them to score 15, 20 apiece and hope that other players can contribute, hit some shots. Kahlil, I think, shot 3 for 13. Roden, his first game in the season, you weren't expecting him to do anything, which he didn't do much. And the bench kind of took it over. Trey Jackson kind of took it over. Bryce Atkin hit some big free throws on a stretch, and Michigan could not make baskets at all. So I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know if they're good or they're bad kind of early, but it was an impressive win going into, now they play Ohio State on Monday, tomorrow. Another Big Ten team. Now, will they beat Ohio State? I don't know. I don't make predictions anymore because I was wrong. But if they play like this all season in a Big East that is really just Villanova and UConn, they could make noise and become like they could be in that conversation with Villanova and UConn.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. They play hard, and like you said, it's a down year for the Big East. They can move up, or move up in the depth chart of the Big East real quick.
So on Friday, Joe Lunardi from ESPN he does bracketology all year, which I hate.
Wow, it's way too early for that.
Yeah, he did the weight essentially when the tournament's over. As soon as it ends, he does one when the tournament ends, which I don't know how you can do that right after the tournament ends. But he released one on Friday. Top overall seed Gonzaga, Rutgers first team out. All right, so he has his number one seeds, and I want to get this right because this is where I flip out. We talk about the blue bloods all the time. UCLA 1 seed. Okay, so that's 1. Kansas 1 seed. Gonzaga 1 seed. Take a guess who the fourth 1 seed is in Lunardi's bracketology right now. If the tournament started today.
It's not UCLA, not Gonzaga.
No, UCLA is one of them. UCLA, Gonzaga, and Kansas is 3. So there's a fourth one.
One's Kentucky.
Not Kentucky. It's not Kentucky. Good guess.
He's not going to say Duke. Duke?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it.
Well, and that's the other thing. Duke hasn't played anybody.
No.
This is why you and I are the same way. We don't really give a shit about college basketball too much right now. We talk about the bigger games. Duke's 5-0. Here's who they play. They beat Kentucky in that Champions Class at the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the last 4 games since Kentucky. Army, Campbell, Gardner-Webb, Lafayette. And then they play the Citadel tomorrow. After that, they have Gonzaga, Ohio State, and then Gonzaga, Ohio State, South Carolina State, so it's an HBCU, so they're probably going to blow them out, Appalachian State, Cleveland State, and then they go into ACC play. So of the remaining 6 non-conference games, 2 are against ranked teams. The rest are against randos.
Right.
So I don't know how you could – you said it too. The bracketology is way too early. But I don't know how you can make Duke a number 1 seed anywhere right now.
Is it because it's Coach K's farewell song? They want to rank them overvalue Duke as much as they can?
That's exactly what it is, I think. I think they're like, oh, it's Coach K's last year. We gotta send them off, and we gotta. Oh, it's Coach K. They're 5-0 against nobody. They beat Kentucky. Kentucky's a 4 seed right now, which I kind of put them there right now based on what I've seen. I just like I said, I'm keeping my eye on college basketball because it's still somewhat early, but Duke, Kentucky is on TV a lot. Kansas looks really good, but they haven't played anybody either.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these Blue Bloods continue to kind of get that rep, and I'm like, this needs to stop. I'm telling you, they're on a downturn. North Carolina's a 5 seed. How's North Carolina a 5 seed right now? Are you watching the same shit I'm watching? I don't get it. So I don't know. But like I said, we don't give a shit yet, right?
It's way too early. I don't even think I pay attention to college basketball until like late January.
Actually, right after New Year. Well, actually, the Big East starts usually New Year's Eve or day.
Yeah, like New Year's Day. They usually start.
Yeah, New Year's Eve. So I usually start paying attention New Year's Day when Big East gets into it, and then I kind of start spreading out to ACC and other stuff like that. So before we leave, this is our last show for the week because we're not going to be here Thursday. It's Thanksgiving. There's a Survivor Series pay-per-view tonight. Are you watching? First question.
I'm watching. I'm actually surprised that I'm like even somewhat remotely interested in it tonight. Maybe it's because it's Barkley. Speaking of loud pops, I think the loudest pop I've ever heard of Barkley live was when The Rock returned, when he was signing over his to do Ballers, and he popped up on Raw against Miro, aka Rusev. That was probably the loudest pop.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
that was the loudest pop I heard live, and no one expected him to be there. Rumor has it he might be there tonight for his 25th anniversary.
Here's the thing of this whole pay-per-view. I'm like, obviously, I'm anti WWE at this point in my life. The bill has been shit.
Before we get to the bill, I was supposed to interview Hit Row before they got released.
Wait, let's talk about that right now. I'm glad you mentioned that. So they released B-Fab right when she signs a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves Adonis, Top Dollar, and Swerve, who I love Swerve. Then they fire all three of them on the same. So I'm like, wait, hold on. So you bring them up when they shouldn't have been brought up because they weren't ready. I think Swerve's the only one who's like legit ready to go up. The rest of them didn't work. So you have a 2.0 NXT that was made for B-Fat, was made for Top Dollar, made for Adonis. You bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
Top Dollar apparently ran his mouth so damn much. People are like, can we really trust him? Because he's talking a lot. And the rumor is that Top Dollar kind of screwed everybody else because Top Dollar was running his mouth so much and saying so much that he got heat that resonated on Adonis and Swerve. So Top Dollar got fired. So they had to fire the other two. It's the weirdest fucking situation I've ever seen. and they interviewed Top Dollar and Adonis, and Top Dollar's defiant through and through. And I'm like, I don't understand. I still don't understand what the hell happened. I don't know what the hell's going on over there right now.
I have no idea. I don't think they know what they're doing right now. It's just a whole shit show. And AEW is going to get more talent after this, you know? I think Swerve is going to be a perfect fit over there.
I think you can't sign anybody else right now. I think you gotta kind of put like a what's the word I'm looking for? What's they put a moratorium on signing people? Because I think you have too much as it is right now.
Do you think they'll eventually go the route of like WWE and two brands? I think we're getting close to it.
I think if they keep, I think it's been it has been 3 years since they've been in business. So I think a lot of the contracts starting to expire. So I think once those first 3 years contracts expire, I think you're going to see the roster kind of get smaller and smaller. I think then you might see more signs. Then eventually you might see that. But I think now that it's been a year, 3 years, I think a lot of guys are not going to be it anymore. Like a Peter Avalon or like a.
I think those guys, like the Coca Cabanas, I think those guys are going to get phased out.
Yeah, or Coca Cabana probably be like a backstage person because I think that's what he should be. But back to tonight, it's been a really bad build. I think the Becky Charlotte thing seems forced now. When it first happened, it was fire, and now it's like, all right, now you're just trying to make an angle out of it.
Yeah, angle out of real life beef always works though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I'm gonna watch because I think they're main event.
They were first.
They were first.
They were the first match. Yeah.
Oh shit. So I'm assuming. Oh, so Big E gets the main event spot then.
Big E's gonna, that's gonna be the main event spot,
and he loses, so it's whatever.
Well, I think this is where if they were booking and if they want to capitalize, I would somehow get The Rock to come out tonight.
Can The Rock come out tonight? I've heard The Rock does a lot of shit. You don't know if he can come out or not. And then they announced Survivor Series teams on Twitter randomly, like a Saturday, and then proceed to change people in and out for the last 3 weeks. It's like it's the damnedest thing. And 2K22 is going to be so out of date.
And that's the main reason it was delayed because of the roster cuts.
And there's more. Like who's gonna be left? It's gonna be like 10 people.
A lot of old school wrestlers that we're gonna be playing with Macho Man and the Perfects and the King Kong Bundys, sprinkling a couple of New Day here.
Iron Mike Sharp's gonna be in the game. It's like, can we use him? That's cool. But I'm not looking forward to it. I haven't seen full. I'm halfway through Full Gear still.
Oh wow!
I haven't finished it.
That's a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, I had another wedding last Saturday, so I ordered it on pay-per-view and recorded it. So throughout the week, I've been watching half hour at a time, bit by bit. I'm up to the street fight with Inner Circle American Top Team.
Oh, so you're almost done. Yeah,
so it's been good. I haven't seen Jay Lethal. I heard about Jay Lethal. I'm happy for Jay Lethal because that's my guy, Jersey guy. I'm happy he has a job because Ring of Honor. I might order a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I'm thinking about it.
The last one, right?
Yeah, I'm contemplating it. I don't know if I want to spend $30, but I'm like, it's their last. They're not coming back. I don't care what anyone says. It's done. So I kind of want to see how they go out. And Jay Lethal's not going to be there, which I was like, oh shit, really?
Well, which one overall, when the story is done, had a better run? Ring of Honor, AEW.
You would have to say Ring of Honor because a lot of the Ring of Honor guys are AEW now.
I was gonna say a lot of not AEW, ECW. Sorry, ECW.
Ring of Honor because they've been around longer. Plus, if I ECW by 99, I feel like it was still good, but I wasn't as into it as I was in 97, 98.
Okay.
Because I was, 98? I was 15, 16 years old. By like 2000, I was kind of desensitized to tables and fire and New Jack jumping off shit and like chairs. And I was like, all right, so who is this? Easy Money and Julio De Niro? Like, all right, cool. All right, there's no one here. All right, cool. Is that Steve Corino? All right, cool. Like by 2000, I didn't care anymore. I feel like Ring of Honor, they've done a good job, although it's kind of sketchy, of kind of like reinventing who they are every time they get rated by NXT. So probably Ring of Honor, but I'm contemplating buying it. I don't know if I will yet. I'll let you know.
All right, let me know.
We'll see what happens. Jason, great show. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same to you.
Are you chill? Where are you gonna be at for Thanksgiving?
I'm probably gonna chill home with the family.
All right, cool.
Not going anywhere. How about you?
Yeah, I'm probably going with my sisters. Just eat over there real fast. And I'm off. So I'm like, all right, PlayStation, wrestling, and just hang out at home all weekend. That's my plan. So as always, great show. We'll be back. We're off this week. We're doing the show today because we're not coming back on Thursday. We're taking the week off. It's Thanksgiving.
After Turkey Day.
Yeah, we're going to eat some turkey sandwiches and leftover turkey for like a week and a half.
So we're not coming back to like December then, early December.
Are we?
Hold on, 3rd or 2nd? I forgot how that
I gotta check my damn schedule. Hold on a second. When are you coming back? Yeah, December 2nd, we'll be back. Wow. So December 2nd, we'll be back on air on Just Who Talk channel. Damn, it's December. Holy shit. And in January, our 5-year anniversary. We've been doing this for 5 years come January.
5 years, wow.
It's been a minute. And in January, we got some big announcements. I know we kind of been teasing it. January is coming through. Jason, we'll talk off air.
Right.
I had a meeting last night we got to talk about. So we got some things coming up too. So stay tuned to that. Those of you watching, thank you for watching. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Take some time. Enjoy with your family. Be safe. Make sure you bring some Henny, some wine.
There you go.
And some at-home COVID tests. Make sure you bring those to your people. Make sure you take them. Make sure they're safe too. And we'll see you on December 2nd on Thursday. So for Jason, I'm Kahlil. Happy Thanksgiving. Peace.
Peace.